Hi, and welcome to the Animal Training Academy podcast show, the show for animal training and behaviour nerds, where I, Ryan Cartledge, interview the world's most proficient animal training and behaviour geeks. We're absolutely thrilled and grateful to have you here with us today. So make sure you hit that subscribe button on whatever you're listening to this on so that you don't miss a single episode. Each episode of this show is brought to you on behalf of the ATA membership. And if you like the conversations in this episode, then you're invited to continue them with like-minded behaviour nerds within the membership area, which you can find out more about at www.animaltrainingacademy.com. You'll get access to twice monthly live web classes, the back catalogue of previous web class replays, plus a huge library of videos and projects to help problem solve your training challenges. Plus, we're a sociable bunch with an exclusive private Facebook group and forum areas. It's like a Netflix social media platform for animal behaviour geeks. But we will get started on today's episode, where we are super excited to welcome two special guests today. Returning to our show is one of my favourite trainers on the planet, Miss Peggy Hogan, and her equally talented partner in animal training crime, the wonderful Monty Gwynne. Through her business, The Best Whisper is a Click, Peggy Hogan provides clicker training lessons, clinics, and online coaching, all focused on horses. She's been a horse lover since the age of 3, when her sister put her on a pay-per-lap pony ride. She loves all animals and has a passion for training. Peggy learned from clicker trainers of other species, as well as diving into the science behind the training with Dr. Susan Friedman. Peggy has investigated ways to add more shaping, capturing, luring, and targeting to her clicker training for horses program, and is currently teaming up with today's other guest, Monty Gwynne, to reach the online community for teaching this amazing technology. And in the show notes, we'll link to Peggy and my episode from September 2018. Wow, 4 years ago, where you can learn more. Monty Gwynne, our other guest, is the founder of Equispeak, and she's a self-proclaimed training junkie, passionate about sharing her decades of training experience with many different breeds and disciplines, which allows her to have great success involving issues using positive reinforcement. The focus of Monty's journey is on bringing positive, science-based horse training to the forefront and working with people interested in discovering this powerful tool. Having seen the joy that positive reinforcement training brings to both partners in the horse-human relationship over the past 30 years, for her, there is no going back. So without further ado, it's my very great pleasure to welcome to the show today, patiently waiting by in different parts of the USA, Monty Gwynne and Peggy Hogan. Thank you to both of you so much for taking the time to come and geek out with us at Animal Training Academy.
Thank you, Ryan.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Ryan, for the opportunity to share my journey with positive reinforcement and with your lovely community. It's a real pleasure to be asked to be on and to have my cohort these days, Peggy, on here with me as well. So thank you again.
It's my absolute pleasure.
Yes. And 2018, it seems like just yesterday, really. Lots happened since then. But it's good to be part of your community and part of the growth and the promotion of this amazing training. Because once you get bitten by that bug, it's a life-changing experience, right? Right, Monty?
It certainly is. And it changes lives for animals as well as humans. And that's the other cool part of it as well. It doesn't just affect, it's not just our training of the animals that it affects, it's our whole life that this different perspective brings to us.
I thought it would make the most sense today to get started with you ladies sharing about your collaboration. What is the nature of your collaboration for those that don't know, and how did your work together come about?
Peggy, do you want to start with this one and I'll think about...
Sure. Monty and I have known each other for years, known of each other for years, but truly COVID kicked us in a position where we could team up. And basically I was going bonkers and started reaching out to people. And I wanted to bring clicker training to the forefront to give everybody I knew something to grasp onto and find solace as well as camaraderie. And so I started reaching out to other trainers, and I said, Monty, let's do something together. This is the time. And also this wonderful, we call it trainer talk, and it is so great. And not Shalev, Monty, with just this group of people where we can sit and geek out and talk to each other and talk trainer talk. I think I've been in a little bit of a world of my own for some time, and this was a wonderful byproduct. So we decided to start doing online clinics and offering a variety of stuff. We'd actually done, I went up to Monty's place, was it 19 or 18? And she and I co-taught a clinic, and she came down to my place too. I think it was like 19 or 20,
I think it was
something
19.
like that.
Yeah,
it wasn't
19.
20, of course. Yeah.
Yep.
So I went up to Canada and we did a co-teaching clinic together. So it seemed really natural to go on ahead and do this online. And it's been fun. And we have had trainer talk extraordinaire. It's been a really good experience.
Yeah, it's fun. We both, and I hope I can speak for you, Peg, I think we both grown a lot, learning from each other and different perspectives, and we each bring our own sort of background to it. But it's also really curious that we're very parallel in our development and what we went through, right? We both went through the natural horsemanship phase. We both did a lot. We both were exposed to Peggy Cummings and her biomechanics work. You had a little bit to do with Alex, as I did, Alexander Kurland. So it was interesting to sort of look back and see all the parallels that we'd gone through, despite the fact that we didn't really interact a whole lot before 2019. Although I have to remember, and I wanted to share this little story, is I remember seeing some little video that you posted, and I'm sure it was McKee, and it was a really cool behavior that you had where you'd cup your hands underneath his muzzle and he would rest his muzzle. He would stop chewing. If he had food in his mouth, he would stop chewing and he would rest his muzzle. And I use that. That is probably my favorite behavior, especially when I'm doing cooperative veterinary care, because I can tell from the pressure in their nose before they ever start to move any other part of their body, whether that's a yes or a no to continue. So thank you for that. Yeah. And we saw each other many, many years ago at a Clicker Expo. Yeah, it's been a great savior.
Yeah. And the fun thing is that whereas we both learned traditional and pressure release training, both of us said, this shaping stuff, this business of shaping behaviors without pressure is really attractive. And we both developed our whole training protocols based on shaping, setting up the environment and shaping without pressure. And it's been fun to see where we took that, both of us.
Yeah. And I think independently, which was really cool too, right? Like it sort of parallel development. And then we got together and went, oh, that's really cool. You do that too? Oh, I do that too. So that was very interesting from my perspective.
And I have to apologize. I forgot you're up in Canada, Monty. I said both of you in different places of the USA earlier.
Oh, that's okay. I'm a Canadian. I'll forgive you. That's what we say. We always apologize. Canadians are always apologizing, so it's fine, right?
They're the nicest people on the planet. And so Clicker Expo, where you two met, that was your first opportunity to really connect on a deeper level?
No, actually, I know it wasn't Clicker Expo. There was very sort of brief encounter. Yeah. It was online. I think I took a course. I asked Peggy if she would mind having another trainer take one of her courses that she was offering on Facebook. It was the multiples course, right, Peggy?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'd never really played a lot with multiples, and she was gracious enough to say, yes, you can, as long as you don't just sort of lurk and don't participate. And I said I would never do that. I wanted her feedback because that's what she knew more about than me. So I'm always happy to learn from other trainers. And so, yeah, we first met there, and I think we sort of hit it off there, and it just continued. And like Peggy said, through COVID, I think it saved us both because it gave us something to do. It and allowed us to connect with people that we'd lost contact with in our personal teaching. When we travel and do clinics in person and that.
We were both traveling a lot, so
and we did know each other from the clinic that you came up and did, and then from when I went down and came down and did one at Peggy's, and we just sort of hit it off, and it's really been pleasant, and bringing Annette into the mix has been a lot of fun. She does a lot of very cool things. And
oh my goodness.
It's been nice to be able to have her, Peggy invited both Annette and I to participate in the last two Clicker Expos. I think it's two, wasn't it?
The
two,
live
Peggy?
ones. Yep, it's already been two.
Yeah, the live ones, yeah, and hopefully we've got a third one coming up, and looking forward to that one. Yeah, so it's been.
We're expecting to see more of the terrific trio moving forward. What I say?
Terrific trio. I like that.
Mostly a duo with our courses and stuff like that. Peggy and I have worked a lot together in those, and it's nice because we'll look at the same thing, the same little video that a student will submit, and we'll both bring our own little tweak to it, but we also see exactly the same things. So while our eyes may focus on something different, slightly different, then we can add our own little thing, and people get to have two expert trainers comment on their videos in the same class. So I think that's a perk for the way we teach too.
And was COVID a catalyst for the creation of online content together?
Because I have done online courses for a lot of years. Yeah. Like I'm looking back and I'm trying to think Facebook when it was early on. I mean, I'm thinking 2010, I was doing some online courses, and then I started traveling more and more, and that's when those slowed down. And there's a lady named Lori Higgins I did courses with for quite a while. So that was kind of the start of it. But
yeah, and we did some courses on Facebook as well, but it was painful.
Yeah, so Facebook is a format for teaching, but that's where I had done it for. And I didn't do any online clinics in 2019, so it wasn't until 2020 where we said, let's do this thing.
Yeah, and I think it was 2018 where I launched my website and had my online courses on the website, but they're different in that you work through them at your own pace versus the ones we offer now, which are, they're short and quick, and we throw lots and lots of information at people in 2 or 3 weeks and have feedback on their videos.
And they're intense. Well. They are intense. I mean, we say be prepared to work. We're going to do 2 weeks. It's going to be a whirlwind, and you're going to get a lot of material, and you're getting your money's worth and then some, because we want to see people get out there and implement, take the techniques, work with them, try them, practice, let us give feedback. Susan is a great role model for that kind of Socratic method of teaching, is how she calls it. So we want to be able to have people think and have people take more and more role in the suggestion and the creation of change and ideas to bring about change in behavior. We like to encourage them as they progress through the stuff that we teach, so they take a more active role. And so it's fun, good stuff.
So the word organic comes to mind as to how your collaboration evolved. Does that word resonate with you?
Organic is good. I was about ready to make some smart joke on that one, but yes, organic is a really good word.
I want to hear your joke. What's your joke?
No, it's... Yeah. Okay. I'm going to drink some coffee now. So rescue me, Monty.
Thanks, Peggy.
Well, we like to throw out fun lines, and so.
I feel that COVID has facilitated the communication of people that might not have connected had there not been a global pandemic.
Yeah.
And certainly in a totally different way as well. Like I suspect Peggy and you and I would still have continued to do, maybe joint live clinics, sort of thing, but definitely not the involvement that we now have with each other. I mean, we talk every morning pretty much when we're running classes, and teach all over the world, and don't have to leave our front living rooms. So that's
our horses
cool too. And I think COVID has actually benefited the training community, because it has allowed us to expand. We've reached people that we couldn't have in the past, perhaps, that were a little hesitant, and because we've developed more of an online presence due to COVID, I think that's really helped to build more of a community and get the word out there more as far as positive reinforcement and the training.
Sarah's term about brave learners, I really love Sarah Owens, that coin phrase that she uses. But I do respect the people that are willing to post their video up and be in a class of 15 or so people, because that's about the size we like to run them, and hear feedback and make comments, and they're still willing to post. And so they're being visible in their training. And I really respect the people that are willing to join in that kind of learning. We're good with our feedback. Yes, this is something that, when we see it, we'll give that positive feedback. And then we also give suggestions. Okay, let's go back and try this. So we're not coddling, we are definitely giving feedback, but we also are giving positive feedback. Try this. This looks looks good. You see the click that you made right there. That was really brilliant. Let's try it. Go copy yourself, watch your video and do that thing you just did.
Yep.
But
Yep.
and we analyze.
Yeah, and we also ask them, like you were talking about the soft Socratic method, we also ask them to think about, well, what did you do here? What could you do better here? What would you change that might change the behavior, the outcome of the behavior? So we try and have them become independent learners, because that's what we'd like them to be able to be, is function a little more independently and not have to always have somebody there to coach them.
Absolutely.
Right,
and I like that. You bet. The brave independent learner. We'll add a little adjective in there. The brave independent learner. We do want to encourage people to think it through and add more of, and we supply a lot of, the information in we're really based in what science we can bring to the table. And we've both learned from Susan, and I audit her course twice a year just to keep fresh and current. So it's that we add too, like, okay, well, your horse is showing this. Let's take a look at how we would analyze that behavior and where it fits in the behavior now.
Brave learning. I like that, Peggy. I literally quoted Sarah Owings with that in our members only, Animal Training Academy members only Facebook group yesterday. I feel COVID has provided lots of opportunities for people, and I like brave learning in terms of and thinking about your collaboration. I think bringing people together is something you mentioned. COVID's done, Monty, and I think brave learning is required to sometimes reach out to people you don't know. Especially you guys. I'm assuming you get a lot of horse trainers reach out to you and want to ask information, but that is an area of vulnerability. What if I message Peggy and Peggy's too busy, or Peggy gets too many messages? What do you have to say to people about being brave and about reaching out to you guys and about asking for help during this growth and explosion of online learning?
That's a really good question, Monty.
I would, as far as being brave and reaching out, it's hard. It's a little hard in the horse world because there is so much natural horsemanship that is still severely, that's not the word I want, solidly embedded in how people believe they have to train. So it's hard if you're at a barn and you're the only person that wants to do this positive reinforcement thing to try and do it and not feel punished for trying to do it, because unfortunately and again, I think it comes from a fear base. They're having to maybe look at how they train using negative reinforcement, and that causes issues with them. So they sort of come back at you. And I know this wasn't really the question that you asked, but it's very common in the horse world. So it's hard to be a brave learner in the horse world. And I think it's almost easier not to have somebody come and teach you at the barn, because then that makes you more vulnerable, more visible. But if you can take your lessons online, and then you can sneak out to the barn if you want, or if you feel you have to, and train when there aren't very many people around there. And then when the behavior starts to look nice and you get people that watch you, then you go, then they'll start to ask questions and go, oh, that's really cool. How did you do that? Well, that's really nice. Your horse lines up at the mounting block, and you don't have to drag him over there. You have to drag him from the arena because he doesn't want to stop training. But, that's an opposite problem that most horse trainers have. Most of their horses don't want to come in the arena to train. So I think it's maybe, and again, I'm not sure I've answered your question, which is pretty typical of me.
But I get a shot at it.
You do. As far as being a brave learner, I think it's harder in the horse world.
And okay, and then let's flip it. So Ryan, we have the reacher and the reachee. Okay, so we've got the one that's reached out and said, I've got this horse, can you help me? And then they'll make several descriptions about what's going on. And by the way, my horse has this attitude, and he's a brat, and he's this and that. Now, as the reachee, the one who's hearing this, holding the information that I have and saying, I want to be able to support your process, but boy, I am walking on eggshells when I get that kind of a phone call, or when I get that kind of a message, or that kind of reach out. I mean, I have had people say to me after giving away lots and lots of material and suggestions and saying, saying, finally, you might want to consider taking lessons and getting some professional help. I can offer this. And well, aren't we Miss Mercenary? And that was the response after giving, boatloads of help and suggestion very carefully. So I think that's an interesting question you bring up. The one that's reaching out is vulnerable, but the one they're reaching to is vulnerable, especially when we are trying so hard to be positive reinforcement trainers and someone just told us that they use a cattle prod or something to that effect. Like, yeah. So how do I reach back and create an open line of communication? And so Monty and I have conversations. We will support each other in that sometimes. So-and-so just called me and they said they're going to do this and this and this with their horse. And I call Monty, let's talk about it. Maybe we can do a joint session, and we craft our responses carefully. We really do. So your question could be a webinar of its own, which I know you do. Your crucial conversations kind of line of thing. But that's what came to mind to me too.
Yeah, and maybe a different take on that too is we have my online courses that are free study. You go through them at your own pace. There's no sort of timeline. I think there's a year to complete each course. I've got 4 modules. So that is sort of an unsupervised, you can work through it at your own pace thing. Then we've got Peggy and my short courses that are online on Canvas is the platform we use. It's a lovely platform to use. They're short, they're fast-paced, they deal with specific behaviors, and they build on each other. So we've got 3 foundation courses that build on each other. The behaviors that we teach in the first 2, we add cues to in our 3rd class. So it's a progressive and it's interactive. There's feedback on all the videos they submit. And then if they don't want to be quite so visible or vulnerable, Peggy and I both offer either individual private coaching lessons. We can do a live Zoom, just like we're doing here now. You set the camera up and I watch you with your horse do the lesson that you want some coaching on, and I coach you live through this Zoom platform. Or you can send us a video if you learn better that way. Then you can send us a little video, and you can choose to either have Peggy or myself, or you can have both of us talk to you in a Zoom call and watch your video at the same time, and we make comments and suggestions as to, this looked really nice. Could you set this up a little bit differently next time and see how that changes the behaviors? So there's lots of different options for people that want to reach out to us and have different levels, I guess, of vulnerability and being visible to others.
Well, embracing the tangent that we've gone off on, I really value all of that, and we'll link to all of the places where you can go to seek all of the assistance that Monty just mentioned in our show notes for those listening. I really resonated with what you said, Peggy, about vulnerability on both sides, and I never thought about that before. But yeah, I feel vulnerable when people message me because I've got limited resources, and I also have a mission. I'm on a mission, as you guys are on a mission, and those things can clash. It's a great point. It made me think that what were the terms you used, Peggy? A reacher, outer, and a reacher, and the reachee. Oh, the as reacher, a reacher. as a reacher, I found if you acknowledge that vulnerability when you're reaching out to someone, that can help the reachee feel less vulnerable. Where do reachers reach out to you, reachees, to find out?
You're funny. But
we can learn more about your courses.
When that lady said to me, well, aren't we Miss Mercenary? It was like, it's like, what?
What does she mean? She mean, you're saying?
In other words, I dared to say, after this much, pay for something after this much contact and help and support, and I appreciate, and 20 different interchanges, take a course, let me teach you, I've got ways to help, and that was the response. Like, you're supposed to be doing this for free. Those were her words.
Wow.
I
think we absolutely must charge for some of our services, but we can absolutely give stuff away for free as well. because that helps us achieve that mission that we're on.
Yep.
To improve the lives of learners through ethical animal training and behavior management principles. But I'm sorry that you were placed in that position, and I imagine that was a vulnerable position to be placed in.
Yeah, it's the reach. They're both. It's vulnerable for both parties. It really is. Or I reached out. If someone reaches out to me and the advice and the conversation, I haven't read that person right, and it happens, or something happens and they feel vulnerable, and then they say, well, you're not being positive with me. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I work so hard. Hard to phrase what I phrase, to have it be a supportive learning experience. But, so there's the vulnerability for both people.
Yeah, it's a big struggle. We've had a few students in class that it's really been hard to try and help them and work with the words and come across as being positive when they were absolutely taken in a very
it's like even if they were
they thought we were undermining it. They didn't believe that we were being genuine with our guidance for them and our goals for them, and saying, no, we can't. We know this is the behavior you want to get to, but until you've got some other stuff in place, we don't feel that you're going to be safe doing these behaviors.
And I would say that it just speaks to how much Monty and I really do want people to have success. Ryan, if I could play in this rabbit hole just a little bit longer, because I know, and that is when Monty wrote this, and I'm just going to steal the line. All right, Monty. She said, when we get to see the joy on the people's faces when they finally realize that their animals are offering behavior because they've learned that there's something in it for them and they really want to offer this behavior. And you can see the discretionary effort, and you can see the participation, and you realize this animal is giving everything, and I'm going to speak to their feelings, but I would say they show their enthusiasm by how they perform. When that switch happens for learners and they take joy in that, we just go, oh, okay, my work is done here. This is the rush for us. This is the really amazing part for us. And we want that. We want that often because it's one of our reinforcers, is to be able to see the same shift and see the same change that we experienced. So we work really hard to make that available anyway. And we talk a lot about it.
Yeah. And I think, Peggy, we talked about that at this point in our lives and in our career, because we've done this for a couple of days anyways, that we want to share what we know in a community where we're supported. I think it was maybe Susan that said, when they're beating down the door, the people that aren't really interested, when they're beating down my door, then I'll worry about them. But for now, I'd like to deal with the people that are really interested in learning what we have to offer. And I know that you and I would like to have people avoid all the pitfalls that we went through while we were trying to learn this through the past 25 odd years.
Without the same resources. We didn't have the same resources. So
we want to get them to where we are faster than we got, without all the struggles and the going down the kind of the wrong rabbit holes. And that's to bring joy into their training, because I've laughed more in the last 20 odd years training horses than I ever did before. It's very cool.
So did we take us completely off? Do we are we?
No, let's play this rabbit hole a little bit longer. My original question was talking to the vulnerability of the listeners of the show. There's the returnee. I keep forgetting what word you use. The reacher and the reachees in the podcast audience. I was originally speaking to the vulnerability of the reachers, someone reaching out to someone. But you've got my mind going on this reachy thing, and what you are both saying. You don't want people to have the same pitfalls you had. You want to get them to where they're wanting to be faster. And you work really hard to do that. And I think that as returnees, we have to look after our mental health, because we care so much. And it's a blow, like you say, to have someone call you a mercenary or be in a situation that shares similarities to that.
That
So
was
as a
easily
return,
10 years ago, and I'm still bringing it up.
exactly. See, so as a returnees listening to this episode, you have to charge because you have to put bread on the table and you have to look after yourself. And if you're not earning money to make a living and to live comfortably, you're not looking after yourself. And so you're not going to help anyone at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so the people who are calling you mercenaries, I guess, are not the people that are really what you're talking about, Monty, lining up,
Right.
ready to learn from you.
Yeah, and I like to function on a fair exchange of energy in any interaction that I have with anyone in any kind of interaction. I put a lot of time and energy into learning over the decades from many different people and many different disciplines, and that cost me. I had to pay to do that, whether it be in physical sweat. The days that we used to go and you would go and you'd work for somebody, and you'd be lucky if you got an hour lesson a day, and you would shovel poop for the whole day, or tack horses and untack horses and clean tack. It wasn't a free come and have a whatever. So sweat equity. So in order to make it feel like a fair exchange of energy, I would love to share this information with you, but like you said, Ryan, I have to be able to have an income in order to do that, and I paid to get my education, so it's only fair that they should have to pay to get what it cost us to get, at least something.
And yet it's amazing how much giveaway we do too. So it's an interesting conversation. It really is. But then we get to choose where to give it away. I mean, Ryan, you're of all people in terms of giveaway, you are, a giveaway king in terms of what you've offered to the community, because that's our passion. So that's even another webinar. Fair exchange of energy is a neat concept. Have you ever heard that before, Ryan?
No, but I like sweat.
Isn't it wonderful? Sweat equity is good. Yeah. Sweat equity.
And you mentioned Crucial Conversations before. I think that's a valuable resource. And I want to give a shout out to Dogwise, who Animal Training Academy member Erica Austin is now working for, and are now stocking Crucial Conversations. Crucial Conversations is now stocked by the legendary company Dogwise. So gratitude to Dogwise for taking that seriously.
Yeah, and Susan Friedman and even Ken Ramirez is passing those referrals on.
Yeah, wonderful. So we've spent a lot of time in this rabbit hole. As we did in 2018 in September with Peggy Hogan, and we were fortunate in our episode with Peggy in 2018 to learn about her training odyssey. But now I'm super keen to dive into your story, Monty. I was hoping you could please take the listeners of this show back to where you first learned about animal training, about positive reinforcement, and share some stories with us from your time.
Sure, I'd be happy to try and do that. I've sort of always been an outside-the-box thinker, even when I was young, and I got my first horse when I was 10. And we didn't have a lot of support back then as far as online or anything like that, because that was way back in the dark ages. And she was, of course, not an easy horse, and I had no instructor there, so I read everything that I could to try and fix her. She was very barn sour, and I read every book I could get my hands on to try and fix her. And eventually, I stumbled upon, and it wasn't written anywhere, I just started to use food. So way back then, it was even kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool. And all through my my natural horsemanship days and that kind of training, I would still use food. Not scientifically, not appropriately perhaps, but I would train with food. And I was a very successful trainer. I trained full-time for many, many years in many different disciplines. So I really value that, even though it wasn't a positive reinforcement a lot of times for me or for the animals. I value the knowledge that I got from that, because I can take all those different disciplines, gaited horses, jumping, reining, quarter horses, breeding. We stood our own stallion for years, and I helped with an artificial insemination program in Saskatchewan with veterinarians. So I have that depth to draw upon, and it's so nice to have that depth when I encounter a problem that someone comes to me with. And I can say, okay, let me look back. Yeah, we've seen this before, but now how can I tweak this so that I can use it with positive reinforcement, to train it with positive reinforcement? And I guess the first time that I really encountered positive reinforcement was 26, 27, almost 30 years ago, I guess. Alexander Kurland came up to my neck of the woods, and I saw a flyer at the local grocery store. And I thought, what the heck? Let's go have a look at this and see. Part of the background of this too is my body had begun, because of pregnancies, my joints and tendons were very loose and lax. So I couldn't train using a lot of pressure. Not that I ever did use a lot of pressure, because I'm not big enough to be able to do that. But I needed to find a different way. And I'd been going through the Pirelli program thinking maybe that was an option. And I don't know if it's fair to name that name, but it did not feel right. There was a severe disconnect with the way I saw them training, even compared to the ways that I trained before that using negative reinforcement. So I was searching for something else, and the universe delivered it to me in a flyer with Alexander Kurlan. It was a horrible, horrible weekend. We had an ice snowstorm. I had to drive an hour to get there, but I thought, no, we're going to go and see this. And I was intrigued. I was absolutely intrigued with what she presented in this little short demo that she gave. Signed up for her first clinic that she had up there with a lady that doesn't give them anymore, but she hosted Alex for years. And that was it. I was, I drank the Kool-Aid, and I wanted to find out everything that I could about this. And she, Alex showed me some pictures of Nuno Oliveira doing a piaffe, which is a high-level dressage movement, on a loose rein. And I said, I'm going to cry, because I cry. If you can show me how to do this without pressure, because I can do it with pressure, that will be something. And that's it. That started me on the journey, and I could never go back. See, I told you I was going to cry, Peggy.
You know what?
Always.
That's why I like you, girlfriend. She's committed to this stuff, and she has a passion for it. And I'm going to speak for you. But I mean, I think that says a lot. I think that says a lot about how you feel about this, Monty. And that's a blessing. That's a blessing to the horse world, that you are that genuine and that real and that compassionate and that caring, that kind. And shall I keep saying, and that.
Well, thank you, Peggy. Thank you very much. So I started with my daughter's old pony club pony with Alex's clinic. So it wasn't a fancy horse or anything else. She was described as a minimalist by the pony club people, because she was, and that's what they called her, because Snowy, and Snowy, she would do the absolute littlest that she could do during a lesson.
Smart horse.
Absolutely smart. And I mean, we bought her sight unseen. She came to us. That's what I used to do back then. I did an awful lot of buy and train and sell. Again, I could not bring myself to do that anymore these days. But they said, oh yeah, she's got a little cut on her neck, but you have to tie 3 feet together and snub her up to the post in order to treat this. And I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. So we started with some positive reinforcement, thanks to Alex. And she turned into the most eager pony ever. I love to tell a little story about her in the wintertime, where it's 40 below out, and I'm bundled up to the eyeballs and can barely move. Right? There's a wind and there's snow, and ponies don't get much food because they get fat on air, so they get fed. And I'm going out there and I'm throwing out hay for the ponies, and she's in with a bunch of other ponies, and I'm like, Snowy, go and eat your hay, because everybody else is going to eat your hay. And she comes over and she wants to play. And I'm like, Snowy, it's 40 below. I can barely reach a pocket. Never mind play. But it's, that's that discretionary effort, right? To go from being a minimalist
to, can I play in the middle of a snowstorm? Yeah.
And leave my food for other ponies to eat.
Yeah.
So
it's what inspires us.
Yeah. So from there, it's just sort of snowballed. I mean, I was one of Alex's instructors in her Click that Teaches program for years. And then I sort of branched off a little. I wanted to explore more of the classical dressage, the biomechanics of movement, the correctness of movement, so that my horses would last as long as they absolutely could last. And just train some different things. So I sort of branched off on my own a little bit, and luckily met up with Peggy, and like they say, the rest is history. We've had a great time playing together, and I look forward to many more years of that. Mm-hmm. Was there anything else that I needed to chat about with you as far as my history, my rabbit hole?
I don't know if it was intentional, but I like the pun that it kind of snowballed, considering how cold it was. I want to express gratitude for, I don't know if you're feeling vulnerable, but I can only imagine feeling vulnerable, getting vulnerable with us. on the podcast show. What was it that made you cry at that point, Monty? What was it about that memory that triggers that emotional response?
I'm going to do it again.
I was going to say, push that button.
Yeah, push that button again. I think it's just the validation from you guys that this is a valuable journey.
Amen.
Yeah. And other than that, it's just being different and being recognized. Because in the horse world, I mean, I'm probably Canada's best kept trainer secret. As far as there's not many people that know that I'm out there, and I thank Peggy for dragging me, not kicking and screaming, but dragging me into more of the public eye and getting me out there more. And I look forward to doing even more of that. And I thank you, Ryan, for giving me the opportunity to do that as well.
So that you can tell me to stop, but I'm curious to explore and I didn't know that we'd be getting so vulnerable today. So once again, I just want to reiterate my appreciation for you being willing to go there with us. I endeavour to provide authenticity in this show and people sharing their stories like you are bravely learning and bravely doing with us right now, Monty. I'm thankful for it. And I learned a new word the other day. I think it's an empath. Empath, is that it? Like someone who's like generally on the one end of a bell curve with regards to how much empathy they have.
Yeah.
My wife makes fun of me because I cry at pretty much every single movie, and she's like,
me too. I'm an easy crier, and I warned Peggy this morning. I said, Peggy, I'm going to cry. I can promise you that I will cry, and it's just
said, bring it on.
but you're speaking to our audience, and I say that because there's some of the things you've said, some of the stories that I hear, they share similarities with some of the stories that I hear from our members at Animal Training Academy, and that is that they're in their local area, they're surrounded by aversive using trainers. They get ridiculed, they get mocked, they feel too vulnerable to expose themselves as exploring other tools. And we have empathy and compassion for the other side as well, acting out of fear, acting out of whatever it is they're trying to do to protect themselves that would cause them to attack someone like that. But you are speaking to a segment of our audience, and I think the gratitude is extended because by you being vulnerable and publicly speaking about it and publicly sharing your journey, I think that's going to be. I think there's some people crying right now, going, "You're not crying. I'm not crying. You're crying." Whatever that thing is. Because they're like, "Oh my God, that's me."
Yeah, and I mean, I went from a very successful full-time training career. I mean, I was a full-time teacher as well as a full-time horse trainer, and I was successful. I mean, I coached 2 Battle of the Breeds teams for Spruce Meadows, which is a high-level jumping facility here in Canada, and I retired 3 walking horse trophies because I won them 3 years in a row. And it wasn't that I was not successful doing things the normal way, but after having this disconnect and this feeling that there had to be a better way, I gave it up and I went, I can't do that anymore. I don't want to do that. So that was a bit of the struggle.
That was
as
our
well,
game.
Right?
That's our game.
And so when you had this pivotal moment in your life, it happened in a grocery store. It was seeing a flyer for Alexander Keelan. Isn't that cool? That's what we call a ripple at Animal Training Academy. And you drank the Kool-Aid, as you said, and you had this moment. How vividly do you remember asking Alexander Keelan about if she could train the specific behavior?
Clear as day, clear as day, clear as night, clear as whatever that saying is.
Clear as a snowy day in Canada.
There we go.
What was going through your head at that moment when you were asking Alexander Keelan? What was going through your head?
Well, I thought if I'm going to buy into this, and I'm a skeptic, I don't jump hook, line, and sinker, but when I do, I do. So I needed Alex to sort of say to me, I can show you how to do this without using the techniques, the traditional techniques as to how you would train this behavior. And she said she could. So I jumped in. And when I decide to do something, it is full on. I go in and I say, what can I learn from this, even if it's something that I don't want to do anymore, or don't want to do. When I see it being trained, with anything, you can always learn that it might be something you don't want to do. And I'm not referring to Alex in that. It's just in any learning experience, you can either learn that, yes, this is what I would like to continue to do, or no, it's valuable to know this, but I do not want to do this anymore or do it this way anymore. So she managed to show me a lot of incredibly cool things that she managed to teach me how to do. And I remember struggling with the first time she asked me to do a shoulder in on a circle. I'm like, you're crazy, right? And I practiced it. I mean, I saw Alex once a year. That was it. And that was back in the days when there was no, there's no Zoom, there's no nothing. So I was on my own, and luckily I'm a very independent learner, because I had to struggle early on to learn how to do things with the horses. There was no coaching where I was. So it was a lot of learning on my part. And I think the other thing, Peggy, you and I find in class is people, and again, I was a school teacher for years as well. The school system tends to make people not want to take that chance.
Yeah, it's punitive.
Don't want to explore, don't want to try something. And with positive reinforcement, you can try it and there's no fallout. It's not like negative reinforcement, or that we're taught with negative reinforcement. You have to get that horse on the horse trailer this time or he'll never go on it again. So it's I've lost my train of thought because I looked at Ryan.
Just encourage them to be brave learners. In other words, and try things, be creative and do things that are different. And it's okay. And you're, one or two misclicks or one or two missed opportunities, don't worry about it. Behavior repeats. So encouraging people to take a risk and try and be creative is what I was hearing you say.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. They're so afraid to try and do anything that's slightly different, or, is this right? Well, and often Peggy and I'll come back and say, well, we'll try it and let us know how that worked out. We want to know your theory. Try your hypothesis and see if it worked. It's don't go too far down the rabbit hole. Come back to us with a little short video and show us what you're doing, but try it. The school system just does not make for brave learners. They teach to the middle and everybody else falls off the end. Trying to get our students to be brave and to be an independent learner. And I know the struggles that I went through, having to practice for a whole year and hope everything was all right. When I saw Alex again the next year.
Yeah, I think what you're sharing is, for me, one of the main focuses that I want Animal Training Academy to put out in the world in terms of goodness. I think school systems share similarities with animal training knowledge and practical application of lay people when it comes to animals, that positive reinforcement, setting up the environment well, understanding cues is just generally not understood. So how can it be applied in schools? And I like we've gone full circle to brave learning. I think analysis of paralysis, as I like to call it, prevents so many potentially great trainers. So thank you for sharing your process. I think it's got a lot of value to everyone, to those who might be on the cusp of being brave but not sure how to explore that.
I like that. There's a good book title, On the Cusp of Being Brave.
All right, look out for that one in 2023, everyone.
Cool.
There you go.
Peggy Hogan Monty Gwynne. And I also, one other aspect of your story that really shines out to me, and I don't think something we've talked about enough on the ATA podcast, is the importance of validation for someone in your role, and the importance of community for providing that validation. With regards to everything you've just shared about being a brave learner, about how validation has been of such value to you in this later part of your life, if I'm understanding that part of your story correctly, and how emotional this journey has been. What do you have to share with those who are in our podcast audience, Monty, and who might be similar to you 26 years ago, or however long it was that you said they might be in your shoes? What do you have to share with that segment of our audience?
Monty, by a turtle.
Thinking by turtle.
Monty.
Now, Peggy. I would think so, because today they have so many more resources than we did back then. Do your due diligence. If you're going to go and learn from somebody, virtually, in person, whatever, check them out. And I mean, this even went for when you would send a horse to a trainer, even a traditional trainer. You need to go check things out. Look at their background. Look at how they train. Watch them train. Watch a video and turn the sound off. Does it say the same thing with the sound on? Do their words match their emotions, what they're doing? Are they a one-trick pony? Do they try and teach everything exactly the same way? Look at people that have a background in the discipline that you maybe want. I think it's wonderful that there are so many people out there that want to get people started on the journey, started with positive reinforcement. I think that's so nice to see all these young trainers come up and do this. But that's also where people get into so much trouble, is at the beginning. The other weird thing is it's people who come to positive reinforcement think they don't need to take lessons. In normal horsemanship, you go and you take riding lessons, and then you lease a horse, and then you maybe buy a horse, and you don't sort of jump in with both feet and expect to be able to ride a Grand Prix dressage test off the bat with no coaching. But with positive reinforcement, they seem to think, oh, well, I'll get a clicker and some treats, and we'll go out and we'll just wing it. And that's where they need the support, is at the very beginning. So to find an experienced person, be it online, in person, someone that resonates with you, connects with you and the way that you like to be taught, whether it's visual or auditory, and go to those people that have got some experience.
Because these are big animals. Really, they can hurt us. They can dead us. Let's not lose sight of the fact that even though we really love our horses as if they were our pets, me included, they are big animals and they can hurt us or kill us. So yes, take it seriously, get some support. And I agree, Monty. I really agree.
And sit and go and watch horse herds. Go and watch the interactions. Go and watch the body language. Just like any good animal trainer knows the species that they're training, and they know their behaviors and how they will react in certain situations. That is valuable to keep you safe as well. But I see so many people that get started, and then they start to have troubles, and they don't reach out soon enough, and they go, okay, this isn't for me.
And we don't want to see that either.
We don't want to see that. And I wish we could figure out a better way to reach those people sooner and get them to carry on with the journey. Because once the light bulb goes on, and once you see a horse become operant, and Peggy will talk to operant, it is so cool. It is just so cool. It makes us smile every time. And we get a lot of positive feedback from our students in class that keeps us going, Ryan. It does. Mm-hmm. It's that validation. Your courses are wonderful. You supply so much information to us. We have to take it again to get everything we need to get out of it, because there's just too much information. Your organizational skills in class is great. The fact that you do videos and written work and supply articles for us to read, those kind of validations from our students, that's what keeps us going, right, Peggy? We need the strokes, just like we need to give the strokes to our students to keep us feeling like we're valuable, and that what we're doing is a valuable thing. And I'm so happy again to be part of your community and have positive people to interact with.
Well, I love how you ended that, because I was going to say I have the answer to all of these challenges that we've been talking about today. And you said the word just then. Go buy a turtle. No, you said the word just then, community. I think community is so important for surrounding yourself with people that you aspire to be like, or who share the same thoughts, to get that validity, to practice brave learning, to get shortcut access to if people are who they say they are, and if they are legit, you can get recommendations quickly from people you trust. Obviously, community is a big part of Animal Training Academy, but it's also a big part of what you guys do. You guys, I know, I think I'm even an admin from back in the day on clicker training horses. Probably need to go in and change those settings at some point. And you've been running online communities for a long time. So that's one place on Facebook, Clicker Training Horses, Best Whisperers, a click that people can go and find you guys. How else do people get in touch and find out about what you're doing and what are you doing over the rest of 2022?
Well, there's my website. I send out regular, if you subscribe to my website, you get notifications as to when the classes are going to be released and that are run on Canvas. And then you go to Peggy's website to register. We're working on trying to get that all amalgamated, but Peggy's website to register for the classes. I'm on Facebook as well. What's our next class, Peggy? We've got start buttons starting on the 20th, this Friday.
So this will be out so everyone listening, when they say this Friday, they're talking about May when we're recording, but this will be out in July/August.
We're offering some variety of stuff too. We really are. We're going to start doing some webinars where people can submit videos, just a limited number, and we can chat about them. And, so we've got stuff. The class lineup pretty much will be my website, clickertraininghorses.com, and then you have to do /store. That'll actually take you to the list of the classes. But you'll see that. And then again, we kind of cross post. So the Clicker Training Horses on Facebook, you'll see. We post on personal pages too. I tend to send out announcements under Peggy Hogan, just so I can cover every area that I possibly can on Facebook, and some Instagram. Clicker Training Horses.
Starting with Instagram, right? A little bit, trying to wade into that.
Dragging her in that one.
Yeah. And as far as our courses, we try to run our 3 foundation courses fairly frequently for people because some of our advanced courses require those. We found that sets people up for success if they've taken our foundation courses first.
And they sound foundation, but shaping is far from foundation. So if it's an absolute newbie, then we need to set up a little bit different. We have some of the absolute newbie courses. If they're new to Clicker Training Horses, even our shaping foundation course is more advanced than most people go to. So I wanted to clarify, foundation just means foundation to us, not beginning.
And go, and we'll link to all of that in the show notes. And I was going to say, and go and provide the sweat equity. I'm totally not using that in the right context.
Sweat equity. Yes,
sweat
that
equity.
Is a good word.
You go to Equispeak for your sweat equity.
Oh, try that again fast.
Hey, thanks so much for sharing everything so far, Peggy and Monty. We love Monty. We love hearing about people's behavioural odysseys. So very grateful for you sharing about yours. As listeners of this show are getting accustomed to, our guests have so much awesomeness to share with you that we can't contain it in a single episode anymore. So for now, this will be the end of part 1 of this episode, and you'll hear from us again in 2 weeks' time, where Monty and Peggy will share about 5 unique and continually evolving refinements that they are currently exploring in their training. For now, though, Monty and Peggy, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to record this first episode.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
We do, of course, really appreciate all of you tuning in today as well. And if you have enjoyed this episode and you were interested in carrying on the conversation about working with our animals in the most positive, funnest, choice-rich ways, then as mentioned at the start of this episode, the Animal Training Academy community is waiting for you. Head on over to www.animaltrainingacademy.com and click on the membership button in the main menu to learn more about what members are describing as the Netflix social media platform for behaviour geeks. That's it for this episode though. We're going to wrap it up there. Thanks again so much everyone for listening. You'll hear from us again soon.